So much for coming today. I'm super excited. So real quick, thank you for Fit Aid. Where's Ashley at? There she is. Got a Fit Aid good squad. Thank you, thank you. All right. Also, really appreciate Tom and Men's Health for coming out to shoot some photos and videos for us. So thank you guys. Really appreciate it. I'll be sure to kind of share if you guys want pictures or videos of you being tortured, because we're going to go through some fun exercises today that look really simple and seem really hard. If you're ever here for Wednesday night or Friday morning, you know what I'm talking about. Maybe we'll do a song today. You guys might know. Some torture, right? Like yesterday. You guys know what I mean? So I'm really glad you guys are coming out today, right? Again, pain is one of those things that can be super frustrating. It can cause kind of day-to-day limitations, whether it's something that maybe only bothers us during certain movements, like I open a door handle and my elbow randomly just hurts, but I can totally deadlift and hang power clean, no problem. Or it only hurts when I go into a down dog or like a back bend position. That's when my back hurts, but I can do back squats and it's pain-free. Like, why does that type of stuff happen? Those types of limitations, frustrations, we don't want them to consistently continue, and it shouldn't be something where rest is the only thing that makes us feel better. How we move is going to be what makes us feel better, right? So the main concept that I kind of want you guys to try and take away today is we should move more, exercise less. And by exercise less, I mean do the exact same amount of exercise you're doing, but move more, right? There's kind of three different categories we can maybe think of ourselves as falling into. One of them is being sedentary. No one here is sedentary, right? One of them is a sedentary exerciser, okay? So that's where I might move for 45 to 60 minutes a day, but then the rest of my day is spent in one resting position for about 45 to 60-minute intervals, usually for accumulating 5 to 8 hours throughout the day. So I move for about 60 minutes, and then I sit or stand pretty much the rest of the day. Sit, stand, or lay down, right? We want to be a mover, constantly changing positions. We're not made to sit in one place. You weren't made to break. You were made to move, and that's kind of the main point that we're wanting to drive home today, okay? This all started for me back in probably about 2015, 2016, when my hip pain in my right hip got so bad that I would wake up while sleeping. It was so bad that if I rolled over onto my mattress, my nice soft cushioned mattress, I would wake up, have to kind of get out of bed and like go like this and pop my hip. And then if I got it to pop, it would be a wave of relief, and then I could go back to sleep. Didn't matter that I was squatting the heaviest weights I ever had. Didn't matter that I was having the heaviest squat cleans I ever had. All of that was like, oh, this feels great, but also I can't go to sleep without pain. This sucks. And that type of stuff is no fun. You should be able to do what you love pain-free for as long as you want to do it, right? Aging doesn't equal pain as we continue to move, right? I like to think of it as we're the culmination of all of our actions up to now. So if we're in pain, we just need to change certain actions, right? Mindset's going to be involved in there as well. But between waking up with pain while sleeping, having to get out of the car to stretch or pop my hip again, anything longer than a 30-minute drive. When I first moved down here to Florida, I was living in St. Pete, driving to Sarasota, Tampa, and back to St. Pete Monday through Friday multiple times. So I'd end up spending probably cumulative like 4 to 5 hours driving, and it was just torture for my hip. Like, you guys ever have it where it's just so tender, anything that hurts, it's like you just don't want to touch it? That's the type of pain I was experiencing while still trying to do competitive CrossFit stuff. And I was fortunate enough to come along this group called the Foot Collective and then have a couple other good mentors in my life that kind of led me towards moving barefoot, wearing toe spacers, adopting more natural resting positions. We'll talk about those today. And that dramatically changed my life and also changed how I work with people one-on-one. And that's my favorite thing. I know what it's like to be in pain and to really be limited in what you're trying to do. And I don't want other people to have to feel that way, and I get it. The limitation sucks. The frustration sucks. It's not fun to not be able to do what you like to do. So we'll spend the first maybe like 20 to 30-ish minutes or so talking about the fundamentals and kind of like the reasoning and the logic behind moving pain-free. And then the remaining 60 minutes, I'm going to torture you guys with a bunch of exercises. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay? Any questions so far? Fantastic. All right. So the 6 pain-free tenets, really important here, right? So we have locomotion, manipulation, postures, expression of shapes, respiration, and consumption, right? These 6 things can be applied to any movement practice you do. If we don't follow them or we're lacking in certain areas, and they all kind of interconnect in different ways, and we'll talk about that in a second, if I don't follow these 6 things, I've found it to be, I'll start to develop pain in some way, shape, or form, right? Locomotion, meaning if my feet don't function naturally, if I wear, as I call them, moon shoes, shout out CJ. if I wear moon shoes, right, a shoe that has a big heel cushion, a shoe that has a toe spring, a shoe that has a big arch. Everyone take a look at your feet right now. I hope I'm not describing you. But, right, if you're shoeless, it's great. But if my foot can't function naturally, there's no way that I can move through my environment pain-free. A little bit of evolutionary type look as well. If I can't move super well, I'm a lot easier as a piece of prey to a predator. That's not fun, right? So my feet are kind of like my foundation, and it's where I start. It dictates what happens up the chain. When we start to get into manipulation, that's our hands. I need to be able to manipulate stuff with my environment. Grab it, hold it, move it towards me, throw it away from me, push something off of me, pull something close to me. We're not meant to grip the same type of piece of equipment or have easy pieces of grip throughout our day, right? I like to say life's not a barbell, it's a sandbag. It's got no handles, right? Think about it. A dumbbell, a barbell, pull-up rig, steering wheel, door handles, right? Everything's easy to grip, and it's the same shape. Our phone's super soft and smooth. You should be able to create a bunch of different shapes with your hands and be able to create tension with your hands. These first two are really important because most of us think core to extremity is the most important thing, right? And it is. It does help transfer energy. But our hands, how we make shapes, and I'm going to teach you guys some shapes today. How we make shapes with our hands as we go through is going to be able to change what fires up the chain. And then same thing with my feet. How I put pressure on my feet through the ground and then the position of my ankle will dictate what fires up the chain towards my core, okay? So postures, both standing and resting, it's really important. Movement and rest are opposites, but they should be the same positions. This will be the last thing that we cover today in our movement, resting postures, right? A lot of us are sitting cross-legged on the ground. That's a natural resting position, right? We're sitting in the bottom of a squat. That's a natural resting position. So if my posture while I rest does not help my posture while I stand or while I move, it's going to negatively impact my movement. So this would be the thing where it's like, I foam roll, I stretch, I do banded stretches, I do a bunch of static stretching, but I still feel really stiff, or I feel really weak in extra ranges of motion. It's because our posture is not the same, or our posture when we rest is not the same as when we stand or when we move, and we want it to mirror those positions, okay? When we get to expressions of shapes, we have a couple different main ones. We have a bow, we have a spiral, we have a wave, right? So I'm going to have Mike come on up front real quick for me, and I'm going to describe it. So when Mike's standing here for us, right, I like to think of it as you have 3 different bows that you can create. I'm going to have you turn sideways for me. So he has 3 different shapes in his neck, right? He has his cervical spine, his thoracic, and his lumbar. And the key thing here is when I create a bow, it's on the opposite end. So his neck is curved this way. And when I'm able to have Mike tuck his chin and give himself, pull his chin straight back, little double chin action, it's pulling the bow the opposite way, right? It's not the same there. So he's pulling down, creating a bow shape in the front, which is opposite of the bow shape in the back. This is going to teach him to stabilize his neck, right? Same thing in the thoracic spine. It's curved this way, but when he lifts his chest, it's curving the opposite way. Okay, he's going against that bow that was created, and he's able to stabilize his mid-back. And then his lower back, right, he's tucking his pelvis, bracing his core, because instead of being arched this way, he's now pulling it down and bracing this way. Thank you, Mike. When he's able to create those bow shapes, he's stabilizing those parts of his spine. Sometimes we have it where it's all or nothing, right? We don't want that. We don't want all or nothing with our shapes, okay? So that's going to be the bow. The spiral is how my legs and my arms move, right? When I'm here, I can spiral my legs as I move, and this is how I walk. This is how I sprint. This is how I squat. I can also spiral out, which is a little bit more explosive. Same thing with my arms spiraling out, spiraling in. And that dramatically changes how I move, okay? And we're going to be going through a lot of these positions today. My main focus for you guys today is to teach you how to feel the muscles during these expression of shapes and to eventually get it towards a rhythm of movement. When we talk about respiration, that's our breathing. Okay, how we breathe connects us to our movement. How we breathe connects us to our experience. How we breathe is either going to be more healthy or less healthy. Do we nasal breathe? Do we mouth breathe? Are we breathing in a stressful state when it's not supposed to be stressful? Are we breathing in too calm when we need to be able to ramp it up? Okay, it dictates our state. It dictates how connected we are. If we don't breathe correctly, we're kind of screwed on moving pain-free. And then just to touch back on expression of shapes, if I'm not expressing the shapes correctly, right? Like if this is how I'm moving when I go, right? This just looks not fun on my knee, right? Like this is just so much twisting. It's not great. And then when we get to consumption, a couple different things here, right? So we'll say consumption of visual content. If I'm staring at a screen all the time and I'm not kind of applying that 20-20-20 rule, every 20 minutes, for 20 seconds, I look 20 feet away from my screen, I'm going to be straining my eyes, right? If I'm blasting music as loud as I possibly can on my ears, consumption-wise, right, that's not conducive to having good hearing long-term. So there's these little pieces as well. If I'm literally eating too many soft foods, this is one of my favorite things from James Nestor's book, Breathe. If I'm eating soft food, my jaw becomes smaller. It retreats back. My sinus cavity behind my nose, right? If everyone runs their tongue along the roof of their mouth right now, you'll feel it go from hard to soft in the back. The moment it goes soft, that's how deep your nasal cavity goes in your face. It's like if you took your fist, put it through your face, that's how big your nasal cavity is. It will shrink and your palate of your mouth will go up if you're not developing the strength in your jaw and in your face. Okay, so that matters. And then obviously all of these things can affect our mindset too. How we eat, what we consume, what we hear, that all affects our mindset and how we approach our movements. You can see how it really does encompass all of these things. And I like that they're a little bit more broad because you can apply it to yoga, CrossFit, powerlifting, weightlifting, jiu-jitsu, whatever your sport is, running. It doesn't matter. These still things are always present and they're always there. Okay? The way that I like to help people progress and what we're going to be doing today shortly is the 3 stages, right? I can't fix what I'm not aware of. Okay, if I'm not aware that I'm standing like this and my stomach is overextended and I just have a lot of weight in my low back, but I'm like, why is my back hurt? If I'm not aware that this is a problem, I'm not going to be able to fix it. Once I'm aware that this is a problem, I can begin regulating it. A couple of the exercises we're going to go through today is going to teach you how to find this front bow to pull down, which is just tucking the pelvis to stack your position better, to then affect your upper back and your neck as well. Now all of a sudden I can do it. But man, it's really hard when it's a heavy weight or when I'm tired or when I'm like really mentally fatigued in Annette's hot power class because she just tortures people and it's a lot of fun, right? So when I go through those different things, I try and have to constantly think about it. The goal is to reach auto-regulation where we don't have to think about it. It's just naturally the way that we move, okay? This is going to fit in with our final piece here of rhythm and confidence. So the evolution of how we'll go through the movement today is we want to be able to stabilize our bows and control our spirals, okay? And just be aware of them and what it feels like to fire them, okay? Then after that, I can integrate the spiral and the bow. I can learn how to maintain my bow shape while creating a spiral so that way I do a lunge properly. If you were here in the noon class yesterday, or any of the classes that I taught yesterday, we taught essentially the bow and the spiral during the lunge, and some people were able to say, hey, that made my knee feel better, that made my back feel better, okay? Then after that, we get to feeling the wave. We're going to do some fun animal flow movements to make you guys get really tortured. My spine moves like a wave, right? When I run or when I walk, it's not me moving in a straight line. It's a spiral of the legs, and it's a wave of the spine as I go through. And that's going to be a more efficient way to run than overextended heel striking, putting pressure on my knee and my low back and my heel, right? This final piece, rhythm and confidence, it goes from, let's use the squat for example. I teach you how to feel your hamstring, your glute, your core. I teach you how to fire those together. You learn what it's like to create a bow in your core and in your upper back and a spiral in your leg. Then after that, you're able to connect to maintaining the position so you don't break. And then over time, the goal is I just say, hey, I need you to squat, and you know exactly what the rhythm should feel like. You don't have to think about, do the spiral, fire on my hamstring, make sure my core's on. We have to start there, right? You should know what muscles you're feeling. Posture, position, and tension matter, okay? And then when we're done that, you're able to have that rhythm. You don't have to think about it. That's just the way you move. And confidence is a funny word. I like to think of it as when you're confident in your movement, it's something that you can do without having to think about it, and it doesn't make you nervous at all, right? You're not nervous about tying your shoes in the morning. You're not nervous about the technique of brushing your teeth, right? So we can say you're confident in doing those things. We might not do them all the time necessarily super well, but you're confident in doing those things. So I want you to have confidence in your movement. You're not worried, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do these hang power cleans today. My back's lit up, and I don't know if I can do the technique under fatigue. Or I don't know if I can stay present and really make sure my posture is super good in my yoga practice today or when I go run. All of this ends up just leading to more confidence in our movement. So we move really well. We don't have to think about it, and we don't have to worry about what's going on with our movement because we've put in the work to make sure that we move really, really well. Okay? So we're going to go, essentially, these things I'll mention because we're about to move. I'm going to mention as we go through. We're constantly going to be working through these. Probably none of us will do auto-regulation today, right? This takes time to develop, but everyone will definitely gain awareness and begin to regulate certain things. And then we're going to be going through this together as a group today, okay? We might not reach rhythm, but we're definitely going to be able to gain confidence and understanding in our movement, okay? Does anyone have any questions so far? This is fantastic. All right. So we're going to get ready to start moving. So what I'm going to have us do is we're going to move our boxes actually into the middle of the rig. and then I'll explain what we'll do next. So we'll just kind of